All right, everybody, how we doing? So I'm going to come over to the front center here for a minute. I'm going to talk to you with some very static demonstrations of who I am, what I am, and what this Guardian Exo is. So, a little bit about me. My name is Jim Miller, Vice President for Defense Solutions, which means basically I kind of look at stakeholder equities from the defense community. 51 years old. I just retired from the military in July of last year after 29 years serving in the Army and Special Operations community. I was a Green Beret. That is material for two reasons. One, I beat the heck out of myself up over the years. I got knees that are both reconstructed, shoulders that are both repaired, lower back is shot, my neck is shot. However, when I put this on, I don't feel any of that pain. I don't feel any of that duress. The only reason I feel any kind of strain on my back at the end of the day is because when I'm out of this, I'm standing out there because I didn't put enough seats out here for anybody to sit down. And I noticed that within the first 30 minutes of walking in here. I joined the company on the 1st of August. The last 3 years, and again, one of the other reasons why the material I talk about why I was in the military is the last 3 years I worked in Special Operations Command. I was the director of the Talos project, which was focused on kind of a deep shoot-to-moon technology effort to create overmatch for an operator. A part of which was designing a load-bearing exoskeleton that would support increased armor coverage, so you could increase its survivability. So I became familiar with, and we were designing and developing our own exoskeleton and combat operator suit. And that's where I became familiar with Sarcos. Sarcos was a contributor to that effort, very helpful on a couple different venues. I learned about exoskeletons and I never was able to get in one because there were none. No load-bearing exoskeleton existed up until at least the time when I stepped in one in August of last year. The Sarcos finished theirs a little bit earlier in the year, but I didn't have the opportunity to get into it. What's that mean? This is the second prototype of the load-bearing exoskeleton that Sarcos has produced. First one I got in August, and it felt great. It moved with me, and it was powerful. It does the work for you. I would, as you watch what I'm doing, try to put yourself in my shoes, regardless of who you are, what your age is, what your gender is. You don't have to be strong. The exoskeleton is in the XYZ planet, but it also understands from a force perspective, a haptic perspective, where you want to go to, when you're slowing down, when you stop, and when you want to come back. So as I move my arms out and back, the inertial effects of moving my arms out and back, or up and down, they're not swinging. Your robot is not pulling me anywhere at the end of my motion. Yeah, I know. You can tell it's.
So that's an important thing to think about when we think about exoskeletons.
When you start turning left and right, and you have the right amount of actuation that helps you do that, shifting your hips left and right, turning around, spinning your feet, shaking your butt, all right? Doing whatever you want to do as you get your groove on, but more importantly, so you can maneuver in the workspace that you're at with some level of comfort and a necessary amount of agility. Exoskeleton is not about speed. It's about endurance. It's about the long run. So if I want to lift 40 pounds a day, 40 times a day, I can do it without going home smoked. I can go home without the rest on my body, on my knees and my shoulders, on my back. And conceivably, if this is doing all the work for me, I could do it for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And the human is still part of this object, it's part of the workforce. So it combines human intelligence, judgment, and instinct, combines it with the robot's strength, endurance, and precision, and it arrives in a resulting workforce environment that's more efficient, effective, and most importantly, more safe. Protecting the human, protecting the individual in it, so we don't incur all kinds of downtime from work because of an injury, or expenses because of that. Now I'm going to be able to grab my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids, and lift them up, toss them around, or whatever I want, without the burden of a back injury along in life. All right, so let's move on to the task at hand. Quick demo. What you're going to see me do is look over to the right. This is contemplating a Delta workforce or a Delta employee work task to remove, the objective is to remove the fan blades from that jet engine so they can do diagnostics on the fan blades. First task though is remove the nose cone. That's already down on the ground. Then I gotta go in and there's a nut that's in front, notionally in front of those fan blades. I gotta lift that torque converter, torque multiplier up, put it on there, loosen the nut, remove the torque multiplier, remove the nut, and then use my hands, walking out, because I no longer need the Guardian XO to do the task. I'm gonna grab the fan blades off, and I'm gonna put them on this shelf, so the engineers can come by and do the diagnostics on the fan blades to make sure they're safe. All right? So, there you go.
All right, some of that goes to one of the questions we've been getting a lot while we're here, which is why is Delta interested in exoskeletons and why are they interested in partnering with us? So what Delta is really focused on is employee safety and allowing their team members to do the tasks they need to do at work without putting themselves at risk of injury. And that's a big focus of what we're trying to do at Sarcos as well. We're trying to take the best aspects of the human team member, which is their problem-solving ability and their thought process, and combine that with the enhanced physical strength that we get from the exoskeleton.
Okay, so what I just did, what Jim was talking was, I did a one-arm lift of a 60-pound torque multiplier that has a adjustable wrench on the bottom of it. Now, I'm going to notionally loosen up the nut that's holding the fan blades in place on this jet engine. So, this is a dexterous task. It doesn't require the strength of the robot. I'm just going to crank on this. I can put my arms close and tight, or I can get a wide array space, walk them out in place, and I can do whatever I want in this area safely without knocking anything around. When I'm done, I'm gonna take a step back, do a little shimmy because I'm pretty happy that task is done. I'm going to complete it all the way for the rest of the fan blades, all the way around. Kind of conserve time here and focus on you and questions. I'm going to leave those up, let somebody else take care of them. You understand the task, so as you walk away, think about this. One, this exoskeleton is kind of floating around me. It's not a burden. The burden I feel is the tightness of the straps that I put when I cinch it on my shoulders, my hips, my pelvic area, and my feet. The Guardian XO does the work for you. It doesn't matter how strong you are. My mother could get in this and do what I just did. She can pick it up and move it. My father could get in and do it, and he's not pumping weights anymore, right? So this does the work for you. It understands where you're at. It's agile enough, functional enough to give you a good, comfortable workspace around you, up and down. I don't dance. I leave that to Fletch. He does a really good dance. But in the end, this is where we're at. Guardian XO, augmentation to the human workforce, keeping that human intelligence, instinct, and judgment, combining it with the strength, precision, and endurance of a robot, and getting a more efficient, effective, and safe working environment. That's what Delta is looking at. I think in consideration of their workforce below the wing, giving them the opportunity to take a look at how can we help provide you increased capacity for safety and simplicity in your work environment.
Does anyone have any questions for Jim while he's out and about?
Yes, sir.